There is something fascinating about the idea of hidden power. When we look at institutions that have endured for centuries, like the British monarchy, we are compelled to ask, what truly sustains their influence? Is it merely the splendor of crowns and the pomp of ceremonies, or is there something deeper, kept in the shadows, ensuring their continuity? Welcome to another night where mysteries never sleep. I am Midnight, and this is 7 Nights. The monarchy's relationship with secret societies, rituals shrouded in symbolism, and decisions made in secluded locations like Balmoral lead us to believe that true power is not where it can be seen. After all, what really happens behind the closed doors of royalty? Royalty and Freemasonry. The British monarchy and Freemasonry share a relationship that goes beyond mere historical coincidence. Coincidence? Trust me, there's no such thing as chance when it comes to power and global influence. From Edward VII, who served as Grand Master of the United Grand Lodge of England before becoming king, to the current Duke of Kent, the presence of royalty in this organization is consistent and strategic. But what does this connection truly represent? Edward VII used his Masonic position to forge alliances during a period of great instability in the British Empire. It wasn't just a ceremonial role. His leadership influenced both politics and society, ensuring the monarchy remained relevant even during times of change. Have you ever wondered how a group described as philanthropic can have such a profound impact on political power? Freemasonry, often associated with acts of charity, has a less visible side. Historians have identified its role in founding governments and strengthening financial institutions. Why would the monarchy, which already held power and influence, seek an alliance with such an organization? Perhaps the secret lies in the global network of connections Freemasonry offers, allowing royalty to influence decisions on an international scale. Windsor Castle, one of the monarchy's most famous residences, features ornaments reminiscent of the compass and square, essential symbols of Freemasonry. Some experts argue these decorative elements are mere architectural coincidences. But how can we explain the repetition of these symbols across so many royal properties? Could they be silent messages, indicating a symbolic and intentional connection? During World War II, Masonic influence became even more evident. Historical reports indicate that Masonic leaders participated in secret meetings to coordinate Allied efforts. The presence of royal family members in some of these discussions raises the possibility that they used the organization as a discreet channel to protect the interests of the British Empire. The Duke of Kent, cousin to Queen Elizabeth II, currently serves as Grand Master of the United Grand Lodge of England. His leadership keeps the Masonic tradition alive within the royal family. But why is this still relevant in the 21st century? The continuity of this relationship suggests that Freemasonry is not merely a relic of the past, but an active element in maintaining royal power. There is also the curious interaction between Freemasonry and the Church of England, of which the monarchy is the supreme head. How can two seemingly divergent institutions coexist under the same authority? Some researchers believe Freemasonry complements the Crown's spiritual authority, offering control that transcends both religious and political realms. In the United States, Freemasonry played a fundamental role in the nation's independence and formation. Many of the founders were Freemasons whose principles were inspired by European practices, some of which had indirect connections to the British monarchy. This shows that, even where the Crown lost direct power, its influences continued shaping power structures. Masonic rituals, conducted with extreme discretion, are another intriguing aspect. For members of royalty, these rituals might be more than mere traditions. They could be pacts of mutual preservation between the Crown and Freemasonry, ensuring that both powers remain unshaken. A lesser-known detail is the Royal Oath, a Masonic ritual exclusive to members of the monarchy. Although the details remain confidential, it is believed to represent a spiritual and political commitment to the order. What kind of oath could be so significant that it remains secret for centuries? The relationship between the monarchy and Freemasonry can also be seen in contemporary events. The Duke of Kent frequently attends Masonic gatherings, reinforcing the idea that these ties are carefully preserved. His presence is not merely ceremonial, but a reminder that royalty remains deeply connected to this network of influence. Freemasonry, with its global structure, is a powerful tool. For the British monarchy, it represents a unique opportunity to shape alliances and decisions discreetly. After all, what could be more valuable for an institution that must constantly adapt to a changing world? Exactly. While the world changes, they ensure the gears keep turning at the same pace, but always under their command. Although the exact impact of this relationship remains unknown, what we do know is enough to raise questions. Is Freemasonry merely a support network, or is it directly involved in maintaining royal power? Why does the monarchy maintain such a close bond, even in times when transparency is a growing demand? Could it be that certain aspects of royal power are simply incompatible with public scrutiny? What is clear is that the link between the British monarchy and Freemasonry is more than symbolic. It is a central element in how the power of the crown is maintained, discreetly but with a force that spans centuries. Balmoral Castle. Nestled in the Scottish hills, surrounded by dense forests and enveloped in an almost reverential silence, Balmoral Castle is more than just a retreat for the British monarchy. It is a fortress of secrets where tradition and mystery converge. Balmoral is like that family chest no one wants to open, but everyone knows it holds something that could change everything. Since its acquisition by Queen Victoria in 1852, Balmoral has been the subject of rumors suggesting that its gates conceal events beyond public comprehension. Unlike other royal properties, Balmoral is a private estate, meaning it is not subject to the same level of public scrutiny. This absolute privacy is, in itself, enough to raise suspicions. Why would the monarchy insist on maintaining such an isolated and protected refuge? Is it merely for personal reasons, or is there something that truly cannot be exposed? Local reports speak of discreet visits by high-ranking political figures and even international leaders. These meetings, held far from the media, reinforce the idea that significant decisions may be made there. Is the castle merely a family retreat or a kind of control room where the fate of nations is shaped? The architecture of Balmoral is another curious point. Although it is an icon of Scottish style, some elements of its design seem to evoke esoteric traditions. Some believe that certain points of the castle were designed to channel spiritual energies, a common practice in ancient buildings linked to occultism. But is this just a coincidence, or was the location chosen deliberately, based on more mystical than practical criteria? Annual ceremonies held at the castle, such as lighting bonfires on specific occasions, are often attributed to the celebration of Celtic traditions. While these practices may seem harmless, their symbolism points to a connection with ancestral rituals. Could Balmoral be a place where Britain's pagan past still finds secret expression? Additionally, castle staff have reported unexplained events over the years. Mysterious sounds at night, shadowy figures wandering the corridors, and even objects that seemingly move on their own. Are these stories just local folklore fueled by the aura of the place, or reflections of something that truly occurs there? The forests surrounding Balmoral are a chapter of their own. Many areas are off-limits even to castle employees, raising questions about what exactly is being protected there. Rumors speak of underground tunnels and hidden chambers that could be used for secret meetings or perhaps something even darker. During Queen Victoria's reign, Balmoral was already associated with mysticism. Victoria, fascinated by the occult, is said to have promoted gatherings and spiritual practices at the castle, blending Christian elements with pagan traditions. Did this legacy of interest in the esoteric pass on to subsequent generations? Balmoral's proximity to mysterious disappearances related to the monarchy is another unsettling detail. While there is no concrete evidence, many point to strange coincidences between critical events and meetings held at the estate. Could the castle be used as a location to address issues that cannot be handled publicly? The symbolism of Balmoral cannot be ignored. Its remote location and integration with the Scottish landscape create an atmosphere of almost ritualistic isolation. Some believe the castle is more than a physical retreat. It is a point of convergence for ancient spiritual traditions. Could the royal family have chosen this place based on its symbolic energy? During World War II, Balmoral was used as a strategic refuge for members of the royal family. While this may seem like a simple security measure, theories suggest that crucial decisions about the British Empire's fate were made there. If true, the castle is much more than a residence. It is a strategic fortress. The monarchy's silence on the rumors surrounding Balmoral only fuels speculation. Would it be easier to debunk such stories or allow the mystery to keep them alive? Is this silence a deliberate strategy, or does it reflect a desire to preserve something that cannot be revealed? Queen Elizabeth II's emotional connection to Balmoral is often highlighted. She described the castle as the place where she felt most free. But what does that really mean? Could this freedom refer to something deeper, like the possibility of conducting practices and meetings without the weight of public scrutiny. Years have passed, but Balmoral continues to inspire questions and suspicions. What we know is that it remains a symbol of power and mystery, a place where time seems to have stopped and where secrets remain well guarded. Would Balmoral be just an icon of Scottish architecture, or a stage where even deeper mysteries unfold? Perhaps we will never know for sure. But one thing is certain: the castle holds stories that defy understanding, as robust as its stone towers. Sacrifices and silencing. Over the centuries, the British monarchy has been enveloped in an aura of privilege and reverence. But beneath the gleam of crowns, stories emerge of inexplicable tragedies and strategic silences that raise unsettling questions. What happens to those who, in some way, challenge the balance of royal power? The most emblematic case is undoubtedly the death of Princess Diana. Officially attributed to a car accident in Paris, her death continues to fuel conspiracy theories. Diana was a unique figure, charismatic, popular, and perhaps somewhat challenging to the rigid control of the royal family. But could her public revelations about life within the monarchy and her willingness to expose internal issues have posed an unacceptable risk? Diana was not just a charismatic princess. She was a woman in search of justice, denouncing practices and dynamics that few would dare to question. When she declared that there were 3 of us in this marriage, she exposed what many already suspected. But was that just the beginning? How far was she willing to go to reveal what she knew? The official investigation concluded that the accident was caused by a combination of a drunk driver and paparazzi pursuit. Too convenient, don't you think? It's as if the script was ready before it even happened. However, alternative reports suggest a planned execution, citing inexplicable security failures and delays in medical response. Were these inconsistencies mere coincidences, or evidence of something much more calculated? Diana's death is not an isolated case. Decades earlier, Lord Mountbatten, a key figure close to the royal family, was killed in a bombing. Although the attack was attributed to the IRA, theorists point out that Mountbatten possessed sensitive information that could have shaken the monarchy. What did he know that made him a target? Another example is the exile of Edward VIII, who abdicated the throne to Mary Wallis Simpson. Publicly, it was portrayed as a romantic gesture, but historical records indicate that Edward had sympathies for the Nazi regime, which might have forced the crown to act. Was the abdication truly a personal choice, or a strategy to protect the monarchy's reputation? Beyond famous figures, there are stories of lesser-known royal family members who disappeared from the public sphere without explanation. Many of these cases involve sudden removals, accompanied by absolute media silence. Who were these individuals, and why were their stories erased? The idea that the monarchy may resort to silencing is not new in history. Royal families worldwide have used exile, imprisonment, and even executions to protect their secrets. But are such practices still in use in the 21st century? Rituals and ancient practices also come into play here. While most accounts of sacrifices are merely theories, historical documents show that monarchies of past eras used rituals to reinforce their legitimacy. Could traces of these traditions still survive, hidden under the modern facade of the British monarchy? Balmoral Castle, already shrouded in mystery, frequently appears in discussions about undocumented meetings and decisions. Could it be a place where unconfessable secrets are preserved, far from public scrutiny? Or is it merely a coincidence that so many dark stories are connected to this property? The deaths of figures associated with the monarchy often occur under circumstances surrounded by doubt. But why do so many questions remain unanswered? Could the crown's very power be responsible for burying these truths? Diana's case marked a turning point. Her death not only shook the monarchy, but also cast a spotlight on the inner workings of the royal family. Since then, public distrust has grown, and the pressure for greater transparency continues to increase. But what really happens when the crown's power is threatened? Are we witnessing a system that does whatever it takes to protect itself, even if it means sacrificing those who come too close to the truth? Each tragedy, each disappearance, seems to contribute to a larger narrative, one where silence is not just preferred but vital. The British monarchy is an institution with deep and complex roots, but how far is it willing to go to protect its position? In the end, these stories raise a crucial question. Are these events mere accidents or parts of a carefully calculated pattern? The Bilderberg. Since its creation in 1954, the Bilderberg Club has been described as one of the world's most exclusive and mysterious gatherings. Each year, it brings together a select group of political leaders, economic magnates, scientists, and royalty, including representatives of the British monarchy. But why would such a reserved club attract the attention of figures who theoretically already possess all the necessary influence? The declared purpose of the Bilderberg Club is to promote dialogue between Europe and the United States, discussing global issues without government or media interference. However, its policy of absolute secrecy has turned these meetings into fertile ground for conspiracy theories. After all, what could justify total confidentiality about discussions that could, in theory, benefit humanity? The presence of members of the British monarchy, such as Prince Philip and later Prince Charles, now King Charles III, is particularly intriguing. The monarchy, officially apolitical, would it be involved in informal global negotiations? And if so, what does this reveal about the true role of royalty in decisions that affect the entire world? Leaked documents from past meetings suggest that the Bilderberg Club played a crucial role in historical events, such as the creation of the European Union. Some participants are also said to have discussed topics like global economic regulation, cybersecurity, and even the redistribution of political power. Are decisions that shape the planet's future being made in closed rooms, far from any public oversight? The structure of the club also raises questions. Unlike forums like the UN, where decisions are openly debated, Bilderberg operates in complete secrecy. No official record is kept, and participants swear confidentiality. But why would global leaders, who already operate under the spotlight, choose such a hermetic environment to discuss the future? The British monarchy, with its unique position of influence and neutrality, seems to play a peculiar role in this scenario. Some theorists suggest that the presence of royalty serves as a link between corporations, governments, and international organizations. After all, who better to mediate conflicting interests than an institution that transcends borders and generations? Prince Philip's involvement in the club is particularly notable. Known for his interest in environmental and scientific issues, he attended meetings at crucial moments in recent history. His public contributions were always seen as diplomatic, but what did he discuss in private? King Charles III, in turn, has always shown concern for global issues such as climate change and sustainability. His participation in Bilderberg meetings before ascending to the throne suggests an interest in shaping the global agenda. But were his intentions merely altruistic, or did he represent deeper, less visible interests? Bilderberg is also an example of how royal power can operate outside conventional structures. The British monarchy, often seen as a symbolic figure, seems to have found in these meetings a way to remain relevant in a world increasingly dominated by corporations and technologies. The composition of the club, which includes both elected leaders and corporate figures, creates a conducive environment for informal negotiations. Many critics argue that this reflects an imbalance of power, where decisions are made by an elite that answers to no electorate. In this context, what would be the role of the monarchy? Is it protecting its own interests, or playing a more neutral role as a mediator? Alternative reports suggest that the club not only discusses the future, but also coordinates global actions. From financial crises to technological advancements, many events that occurred years after the meetings reflect themes debated at the club. This suggests that Bilderberg is not just a forum for ideas, but also a space for strategic planning. If the British monarchy indeed uses the club as an instrument to influence the global future, it raises an important question. How can an unelected institution play such an active role in decisions that affect billions of people? On the other hand, defenders of the club argue that it offers a unique space for frank and barrier-free discussions, something almost impossible in formal settings. The presence of the monarchy could then be seen as an attempt to preserve continuity and stability in times of rapid change. But is that enough to justify its involvement? The relationship between Bilderberg and other global institutions, such as the World Economic Forum, also deserves attention. Many participants attend both events, suggesting an interconnection between their agendas. The monarchy, once again, seems to occupy a central position, connecting these different power poles. The Bilderberg Club remains a black box where forces shaping the future concentrate. But what really happens inside these meetings? And more importantly, what is the British monarchy's role in this backstage game? The coronation, sacred or occult ritual. The coronation of a British monarch is undoubtedly one of the most symbolic and carefully orchestrated events in the world. Symbolism is an understatement. Every detail seems to scream there's more happening here than meets the eye. Held at Westminster Abbey, it combines Christian tradition with symbolism that harks back to ancient practices. But behind the pomp and solemnity, the event carries elements that raise intriguing questions. Is the coronation merely a celebration of historical continuity, or a ritual imbued with hidden meanings? The central point of the ceremony is the moment of anointing, where the monarch is consecrated with sacred oil. This act, performed away from public view, traces back to biblical traditions where kings were consecrated as divine representatives on earth. However, scholars note that this practice also has roots in pagan rituals, where anointing represented a connection between the human and the divine. Could the meaning of this act go beyond what is presented to us? The objects used during the coronation, known as regalia, are equally intriguing. The scepter symbolizes earthly authority, while the orb, adorned with a cross, represents the monarch's connection to divine power. But esoteric analyses suggest these items may hold deeper meanings. For example, the shapes of the scepter and orb are often associated with the idea of spiritual energy conduits. Could we be witnessing something more than a mere ritual of power? The crown of Saint Edward, worn at the climax of the ceremony, is one of the most enigmatic elements. Made of solid gold and precious stones, it represents the continuity of the monarchy since the 11th century. But its design, with intertwined arches and crosses, is pointed out by some as inspired by Hermetic principles, representing the union between heaven and earth. Could the crown itself be a symbol of power that transcends the physical realm? Another curious detail is the coronation chair, designed to house the Stone of Destiny. This relic, supposedly used to crown ancient Scottish kings, has a history shrouded in myths. It is said that the stone possesses magical properties capable of legitimizing the chosen monarch. Why then has the British monarchy insisted on integrating this artifact into its traditions? The location of the ceremony also seems to be no coincidence. Westminster Abbey was built on an ancient religious shrine, and there are theories that the site was chosen for its supposed spiritual properties. Some believe that the abbey is situated over ley lines, energy currents that cross the planet, and that the coronation is held there to harness these forces. But how much of this is true, and what could it mean? The words spoken during the coronation oath carry impressive symbolic weight. The monarch promises to protect the faith and serve the people, but some researchers argue that these words may hold hidden meanings, binding the monarch to a lineage of power that transcends the physical realm. What exactly is sealed at this moment? During Queen Elizabeth II's coronation in 1953, the anointing moment was conducted in secrecy, away from the cameras. The official justification was to preserve the sacred nature of the act, but critics suggest that it also served to conceal details that might raise questions. What truly happens during this moment of absolute privacy? The anointing, the use of the Stone of Destiny, and the choice of the ceremony's location comprise a series of elements that go beyond traditional Christianity. Some argue that this reflects the monarchy's effort to integrate different spiritual traditions into a single event, reinforcing its legitimacy on multiple levels. But is this merely an attempt to preserve continuity, or is there something more at play? The design of the royal garments also carries subtle messages. The robes and crowns are adorned with symbols that refer to both divine protection and earthly authority. These elements are simultaneously a demonstration of power and a reminder of the monarch's connection to something greater. But what is the true origin of these symbols? The choice of oil used in the anointing is another detail shrouded in mystery. Sacred oil with a secret recipe. Are we dealing with a touch of modern alchemy? Traditionally, it is prepared based on ancient recipes that include essential oils and spices, many of which hold profound spiritual meanings. Why does the monarchy continue to adhere to such specific and secret formulas? Beyond the visible aspects of the ceremony, there are rumors that certain moments are deliberately excluded from public broadcasts. This includes not only the anointing, but also specific parts of prayers and readings. Is this merely an attempt to preserve solemnity, or an effort to hide something the public should not know? The coronation rituals demonstrate a curious balance between Christian tradition and ancestral practices. This combination suggests that the British monarchy is not just a political institution, but also a spiritual one. But what kind of spiritual power does it claim, and how does this impact its relationship with the modern world? The coronation is more than a historical event. It is a spectacle of symbolism and mystery, where every detail seems designed to convey a message that goes beyond the obvious. But what is really being communicated, and who is the true recipient of this message? Behind the gleaming crowns and grand ceremonies, the British monarchy reveals a power that transcends visible boundaries. Connections to secret societies, meetings in isolated castles, and rituals steeped in symbolism suggest that the true control of the crown is sustained by traditions and alliances that extend beyond politics and religion. This story is just one piece, and someday, perhaps you'll see the entire puzzle. If this made you think, subscribe and like the video. It helps the channel grow. Don't forget to share. After all, more voices mean more discoveries. If you've made it this far, it's because something in this mystery captivated you. But I bet you haven't seen everything yet. Click on the next videos now to continue your journey into the unknown. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe so you don't miss the next secrets I'm about to reveal. But be careful, once you step inside, there's no turning back.